Hey everybody, this is Robbie Struzinski for CardPlayerLifestyle.com, and I have the one, the only Joey Ingram with me here. What a privilege.
What's up, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you very much for joining us.
You know, I was sitting out here in this random hallway with no one here, getting a nice massage, and you walked up, put a camera in front of me, said, "Can I ask you some questions, Joey?" I said, "It seems like a great idea." So now here we are. Shout out to Amanda, by the way. She's working hard right now.
Thank you, man. You want to say hi to everybody? Hi. So, Joey, you know, usually the mic is in the other hand. Usually you're the one doing the interviewing.
Conversating, correct.
Conversating.
Correct. Not interviews. I have conversations with people.
You converse. So I want to ask you, do you think, I mean, look, obviously you started out as a player. Do you see yourself more as someone like on the media side of things in poker or on the player side of things?
I definitely see myself more on the player side of things. I still play more poker than 99.9% of people that exist. So I would consider myself more of a poker player. I don't really think the podcast, I guess the podcasts are definitely a form of media, depending on what your definition of the media is or what it means. So, but I still think that, you know, all of my friends are all poker players. Everyone I've known for so long is a poker player. And I'm sure I'm always going to be playing poker in some capacity. One, because I still do really well at PLO, and two, because I think having that poker, you know, ability and having the poker credibility really matters to a certain subsection of people when you're producing, you know, media type of content.
Right.
So I find that really important for myself, and that's definitely a reason why I intend to, you know, keep playing poker for as long as I can still make money at the game.
There you go. Well, I got to ask you then. Clearly, you're obviously very focused on the poker. What is it that made you start wanting to do media in the first place and start the Poker Life podcast?
I love the media. I don't call it. I mean, I guess I have to call it media.
The conversation.
The conversations. I started doing them because you know, mainly my game's Papi Omaha, and there was really no content focused to the Papi Omaha community. And I wanted to create something entertaining that other high stakes players like myself could really enjoy and watch, and that had players in it that they knew. And then that sort of turned into me having guests on from the Papi Omaha world, and then that sort of turned into me deciding that I should have guests on from all the poker world, so that people that watch the podcast could get an accurate representation of what exactly the poker world's about in terms of the media people, the business side, you know, the massage girls, the massage women. Shout out to the massage women out there. Shout out to Amanda. Shout out to my girl Andrea. You know, like
all the behind the scenes people.
Exactly, like, you know, the behind the scenes people don't get a lot of love sometimes, especially, you know, a lot of the content that's produced is much focused on the players, and which makes sense because, you know, from the people that follow poker, they care about the players. They want to be these guys. They want to be high stakes players. They want to be, you know, on ESPN and stuff like that. So it makes sense why, you know, everything's geared that way. But I think a lot of people out there have really cool stories and ways they contribute to poker.
But that's actually interesting. You know, when I prepared for this interview, I was going to ask you, well, you know, how is it that you can sort of expect someone to sit and tune in for an hour and a half? I mean, that's a long time, but when you're telling me who the audience is, poker players, they decide how to use their own time, and, you know, they have an hour and a half free at, you know, different random hours of the day. You go ahead and you announce, hey, Poker Life podcast is going live in 2 hours. They'll be like, oh yeah, I remember that, and they'll tune in for an hour and a half. I mean, like, that's pretty cool to get someone's attention for a long time.
Yeah, I think the plan that might be different that I use that most people don't use is that I don't necessarily care if people, like, I don't care about numbers or viewers. A lot of people are so obsessed with how many people are watching my stuff, how many people watch this back, how many people are reading my article, how many people are doing this. And my philosophy has been, if I produce good content, whether that's in the form of a conversation or whether that's in the form of anything, people will come. And if they want to watch it for an hour, they can watch it for an hour. If they don't want to watch it, they say it's too long, well then fuck, okay, like, you don't have to watch it. You know, it's not like I'm obsessed with getting every single person who consumes some type of you know, entertaining content to sit down and watch my stuff for as long as it goes. Like, I personally enjoy having these conversations with the people that I have them with. Right. So, you know, if you as the viewer, if you want to watch that, because I feel like there is a lot of entertainment value. I think you learn a lot about mindset, about poker, about other types of things. So you as the viewer can decide, is there value in this for me? Do I want to tune in for this amount of time? Yes or no? And me as the creator, necessarily, you know, it's not like I make more. I don't really make any money from it, so it's not like I make more money if 1,000 more people tune in. I don't think it, you know, it doesn't make much of a difference. So for me, I just personally enjoy the long form aspect of it, and that's why I've stuck with that instead of making it shorter. And like I don't know, it's just like, how often do you get to really sit down with one of your friends or another high-level poker player and have a in-depth 2-3 hour discussion about anything and everything?
And then to be able to witness that, from like you having that discussion, but then, some numbers you don't care about, you're talking 5 figures here of subscribers on YouTube, you're talking high 4 figures of subscribers on Twitch. A lot of people are interested, and that's a hell of an audience, man.
Sure.
Even though you don't care about those numbers.
Well, I mean, you obviously, like, I want people to watch, what I create.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily where I'm willing to sort of compromise the ideas I have in my mind for what I'd like to create for myself. Mm-hmm. To sort of just get those numbers, because that's the case you'd be having on all the biggest names in poker, the guys on ESPN, the guys that have the big American audience following. Mm-hmm. And I don't really know those people. Those guys aren't my friends. I'm sure I'd find them interesting, but those are the people that I'm most excited to have a really conversation with.
Okay.
And that's why sometimes you might have some people on that a general audience doesn't necessarily know, but I feel like after they watch them on the podcast that they'll get to know them, they get to like them, they get to want to follow them, they become fans of them, and then you have, you sort of help other people get their name out there and turn them into people who, have fans.
You helped me like that. I remember back you had me on the Poker Life podcast, I was like, nobody heard of me before that.
I had you on the yet to be named until we decided what it would be called podcast, I believe. I don't think we actually had an official name for the podcast at the time.
We still don't.
We really don't though.
Okay. Twitch, or what is it, on-air Hangouts, Google Hangouts? Which one and why on the YouTube channel, right? So Twitch or YouTube channel? Which one?
Is my boy Scott Ball from Twitch watching this? He might get upset at this answer. He's been trying to drill into me hard that I got to give up the YouTube live stream platform for a number of different reasons. But I personally enjoy streaming my stuff on YouTube. I sort of enjoy keeping my content on one platform like YouTube. And plus the chat compared to Twitch, the Twitch chat, you get the most... it's like someone walked up here right now, or like, Amanda, you give the worst fucking massage of all time. Like, that's basically, Amanda, like, okay, what do you say to that, right? That's what it says on Twitch. That's what happens. They walk in there like, dude, you look like you smell. I mean, like, sure, there's one way to look at it in that, okay, I'm just going to disregard these comments that these people are making to me. Right. But the other time, you're still reading them. Like, I just prefer not to take that much, all these random negative comments and like energy into my life. And on YouTube, I feel like the chat and the engagement's just so much better, and you just don't get those random people that are on Twitch poker popping in. They don't know much about either person. They might not even play poker, and they're like, oh, who's this guy? And then they say some dumb things in the chat, and then you have the 10, 20 other people saying dumb things in the chat. Pretty soon the chat, like, no one smart wants to conversate in a chat where it's just terrible in there.
I love it, to conversate.
It is, but if I'm in a chat and I'm watching something, the chat's just trolling, I have no desire to participate. And now I understand some people want that type of comment. They just want people in there saying something. But for me personally, I enjoy using my chat as a way to enhance, the conversation I'm having with different people, or having with just the audience by myself. And I think on YouTube, I just get far better results with that compared to Twitch.
I totally hear you on that. So let me ask you something.
You've been asking me.
Conversate. GTO. Papi. There's a Joey-isms that not everybody is privileged to speak. How is it that you develop this sort of vocabulary? I mean, like, everyone, Joey walks into a room and like everybody stands up and like, Papi! Like you were coining words left and right, man.
I think you might be exaggerating on how many people are standing
up.
Oh,
everybody's standing up.
No. You're getting carried away. He's exaggerating.
You invented this stuff, or this is always how you were as like a kid? Like,
I think I always made up sort of my own little phrases, words, and gave people nicknames and stuff like that. So I don't know, it's just something I really enjoy.
And GTO is also a Joey-ism?
GTO is a poker term. But what happened with GTO? GTO is man, you ever heard of GTO? You hang around poker. What do you think? What's GTO to you?
It really means nothing to me. I'm not really that engaged in poker so much as the massage.
Are you a professional speaker too?
No.
Mm-mm. Okay. Hello. We're doing a massage conversation right now.
Everybody knows Charisse.
Shout out to Charisse.
Shout out to Charisse.
What's up?
Speaking of shout outs, one place where if you shout out, everybody responds is 2 + 2.
Sure.
Everybody knows, what is it, Chicago Joey, right, on 2 + 2? You've been there for a really long time, right? Shout out to the 2 + 2 grinders.
Shout out to all my boys on 2 + 2. What up, puppies?
How is it? Yeah, I gotta know. It's like, it's a very, it's a tight community.
Sure.
What is it that you feel endears you to that community and them to you?
The poker credibility aspect of things. You know, I started off in the micro stakes forums on 2+2 in 2007, just posting, playing 5 cent, 10 cent, 10 cent, 25 cent, and then
Sick.
you know, you obviously you want to gain the respect of the people on 2+2. You want to have them either, you know, want to do, you know, sort of, you know, what you can do in poker, or have the results, or just have the work ethic. You want to give them something that people can either, you know, maybe they just find you entertaining, maybe they look up to a certain aspect of something that you do, maybe it's a combination of different things. And I feel like myself, it's not like you just get that from like a 2+2 type of crowd. These are, you know, these are trolls, these are smart guys, like it's a mixture of people. But you know, I've done things over the years. I played my 600,000 hand prop bet. I know him at full ring when I first. That's my
Guy
first.
knows what he's doing.
That was my first year. I made a big thread about that. Well, now you get your name out there a little bit. Next year, I played 50,000 hands in a day, the most hands I ever played in a day. I did a prop bet about that, made it really popular, and just sort of enhanced what I was doing.
So year by year, like your Joey graph was going up. Right?
Well,
your stock was rising.
You know, at first I got notoriety, but it was more notoriety for just being a guy who had a sick work ethic and played 24 tables. But I didn't actually win much money at poker, and people respect you if you win money at poker. They don't respect you if you're break even, but you can work really hard. So what happened over time is that after I got Supernova Elite, twice on Poker Stars, shout out to Poker Stars, shout out to the now defunct Supernova Elite program. So after that, I started playing the high stakes, and I started having high stakes success. Once you have high stakes success, well, now everyone's like, fuck, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and that's sort of how you get to be someone who gains this type of respect.
It does
and
not
it takes
happen.
years.
It does not happen overnight.
This is what I tell a lot of new people. You meet a lot of these Twitch streamers who are starting off, they're new people, and they're like, yeah, I'm going to be the best. I want to have the respect. Like all this stuff like that. I'm like, listen, man, that's going to take you 6 years, 5 years, if ever. You don't just get it in, you don't just play. I mean, you can play poker every single day for 2 years straight. You might not have, and some people don't care about respect. Some people care about just making money. They care about, you know, other things. And, you know, I certainly care about that too, but you know, I like the accomplishments. I like the challenges. I like achieving things that not many other people can really achieve when it comes to, you know, super sick type of things like the profits I've done in the past, and you know, even building an audience. It's just
that's a life achievement.
Yeah, it's fun.
Money comes, money goes, but you know, your tribe, your audience, they'll stay.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've had upswings, had big downswings playing poker, and you know, I'm pretty confident that if at any point in time, if I wanted to make more money, I wouldn't be playing poker. I'd probably be, well, I don't want to say what I'd be on. This is a PG-13 type of stream. Although, I don't know. I mean, I do a lot of PLO, so never mind. I'd probably just play more PLO and just dedicate my entire existence to only PLO and stop doing all other things. But, I mean, you can make so much money in so many different ways if you got work ethic.
Okay. You're talking about dedicating your entire existence.
Sure.
You're a young guy.
Debatably.
Pretty good debatably. You're debatably
again,
good looking.
Debatably again, thank you.
Debatably good looking.
You gotta ask Amanda, she's a neutral party here. I'm paying her for a massage and potentially tipping her, so you know, it could be, she might be inclined to maybe give you a false answer. So
Okay. Well, I gotta ask you then. Although all those accolades, you know, clearly you're probably desirable among the women folk. Who is the woman? Who is the woman out there?
Shout out to the stalkers.
Who is going to win Joey Ingram's heart? What does this woman have to have?
That's a great question, Robbie.
Thank you. That's what we do.
What does she have to have?
Yeah. Not physical assets. So I'm talking about like what's got to be in here that charms Joey for life.
Yeah, I don't necessarily have these type of expectations or qualifications for the type of person that I, you know, I'm not like I only want to date a 99-pound girl who's got fake breasts and a big butt from squatting all the time. Like that, you know, some guys, they say things like that. Some guys have a blonde, brunette, they like American girls, they like the black girls, they like the big girls, they like the, you know, shout out to BGG.
The BGGs.
BGG. And I don't know, for me, in terms of type, you know, you try to stay away from the girls in poker because they're bad news.
That's an interesting one.
Even though sometimes you break that type, you break that, for sure, it happens. But you want to stay away from girls in poker because nothing good comes from that, I think. Even though you've seen some poker relationships that have come, but for me personally, I can't say I've excelled at this in the past though. But for now, the type of girl is smart, you know, ambitious, someone that's creative, you can talk about ideas with, someone that has something successful for themselves going on in their own life that, you know, they're not all in on exactly what your lifestyle is or, you know, what you're doing, and they're also focused on their own goals and their own desires in a certain field that they're in, and potentially, you know, hopefully you'd want to be with someone who's also having some success at what they're doing, because it just makes things a lot easier, I think, for a relationship when people are, you each doing well in their desired field instead of. So I've been in relationships in the past where the girl I was with, shout out to her if she's watching, might not have been. In her future she'll be doing well, but at the current moment in time she might have been doing that well. So there was a big disconnect in terms of monetary value from I made and what she made, and just our general lifestyle and my ability to sort of have no schedule and travel anytime I wanted. And if you're dating an independent woman who wants to provide for themselves or doesn't want to be catered to by a man, well, then that's not going to work. And a lot of the I guess the more intelligent type of women who, I guess, if they study for things, just like those types of people usually want to provide for themselves. They don't want someone providing for them. From what I found in the past, obviously there's situations you might find that are not quite like that, but I found that's a general. I feel like that was a deep answer, but
that's a very deep answer.
Like you
said, it's a good question. That's a fantastic answer.
I feel like I dipped 5% into the answer though, but yeah, for me, I don't. There's no specific type of person that I look for or go after. It's really. I don't know. I feel like I try to give everybody a chance, and you see what happens. Go from there.
That's a fantastic answer, man. Talking about living the lifestyle, you have obviously a certain type of lifestyle you're used to leading. When you do tie the knot or hook up, let's say permanently.
Tie the knot.
In one way,
what is your problem right now? Tie the knot.
Well, let's say you hook up permanently with someone. Tying a knot or not tying a knot.
I mean, I get a girlfriend for a long term.
For example.
Long term. Okay.
How do you see your lifestyle changing, if at all?
It's a sad thought. I'm going to tell you. Well, I think
maybe it won't change.
I think for a lot of long-term relationships, there needs to be some form of sacrifice on both ends, and that might come in the form of traveling as a sacrifice, especially if you date someone who's has a career in a certain city that she only gets to travel maybe a month out of the year, and you can still travel a pretty good amount of time. I feel like I'm not looking at the camera enough during this, but looking at Robbie, I'm focusing on the answers here. I'm also getting a massage. I mean, this is like you got to understand. This is one of those challenging things I've ever done is getting a massage and trying to give these poker update GTO answers for all the audience out there that may or may
even
not
though this is Card Player Lifestyle, but that's cool. We love poker.
Oh, this is Card Player Lifestyle too.
This is Card Player
Lifestyle.
You
got such a dual. You got a dual life.
We love Poker Update, man. We represent all the brands here.
I like Card Player Lifestyle.
We like Poker Update
that's my old
too.
spot.
Shout out to Poker Update.
Shout out to my boy David.
To David Huber.
Yeah, so let's get back to the question.
Yeah.
What question?
The question is how do you foresee your life changing, if at all? And the sad thought,
not sure.
And the sacrifice.
You'll
get there when you get there.
Yeah. It's like an unknown thing. I'm sure. I feel like I've changed a lot in 4 years. Changed a lot in 3 years. I'm sure in 3 years from now, my lifestyle might be different. The laws in the USA might be different. My current situation in life might be different. So, when it kind of comes along, nothing really in mind though.
Okay, but you're open to change. You're not like, okay, this is the way I lead life.
Yeah, I'm pretty open to. I sort of you get your own habits living by yourself for so long and
sure.
being in your own little element for so long, especially as an online poker player where you're playing poker every single day for 5-6 years straight, and you sort of become used to your pattern, your routine, your non-existent sleep schedule that has you wake up anytime, all the time.
Totally, yep. I hear that.
So I'm sure, I don't know, man. It's a good question, Papi.
Okay, but that's an honest answer. That's what we're all about. Honest answers. Well, last big question.
I know a lot of guys are into just saying what they think people want to hear, so I can give you some politically correct answers. Questions. Give me 2 questions. I'll give you some of the politically correct answers most people in poker would give you to them questions. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll give you.
You're putting me on this. He turned the mic around. I gotta think of.
I'm gonna give you the politically correct answer that most people in poker would give because they don't want to.
For just like any random question.
For sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Do you like playing at the World Series of Poker?
I think the World Series of Poker is such a great venue. I think the tournament directors there do such a good job. The dealers that they have come in each year do so well. You have massage women like Amanda coming in there, and while I think she's at a higher caliber quality than most of the massage people, men and women, shout out to you don't want to be sexist to anyone. I feel like the massage people out there do a great job. The food service there is excellent. The prices might be a little bit too high, but I can understand, they have a monopoly on the situation out there and they want to make the most amount of money that they can make from the people that are coming there to spend money. So, for the World Series of Poker, great schedules, very marquee. I think it's a really great event, Robbie, and I'm super happy that they have me out there and they sponsor me for all the different things that I do out there. So Yeah, it's certainly one of my favorite tour styles.
Oh, good Lord. I think you have proven that you know how to give the GTO politically correct answer here.
See, I didn't rub any feather. No one watches that and is like, I feel some type of way about that answer. Everyone's like, yeah, I don't believe him, but at the same time, the people behind the scenes who you're trying to butter up for like a sponsorship or for advertising, or people you want to get, and you want to get a steak, and you want to be someone who doesn't toe the line on hateable or lovable, but you try to be more lovable in that spot. That'd be a good answer, right?
Well, here we keep it real. So we'll ask one last real question for you, Joey.
All right, Papi, go ahead.
What are your ambitions? What are your goals at and away from the online poker felt, at and away from the real poker felt? Where do you see yourself in a few years?
See myself in a few years. I'm gonna have the most popular one of the most popular podcasts in the world, and that's a very ambitious thing. I'm an ambitious person, and yeah, obviously you got to start sort of venturing outside of the poker world with your guests at some point in time. But that's something that I'm excited to do. I'm excited to breach other genres out there and to talk with people who are successful, ambitious, and someone I'm interested in talking with that do other things. And at some point in time, put a lot of work ethic into it, put a lot of hustle, work hard behind the scenes, work hard on the scenes, work hard on camera, and
I love it, man. This is why everybody loves Joey Ingram.
Hustle, I mean, that's not.
This is what I love about you also, and I'm sure everyone, they've been listening.
This is the PC answer. This is the PC interview.
This is a real answer, man. This is a real answer.
Okay,
He's a hard worker, and it shows, and it pays off. And he doesn't give interviews often.
Conversations.
He does do a lot of conversations, but he doesn't allow other people to hold the mic so often. So, look, any last words here for Card Player Lifestyle fans?
This is on Card Player Lifestyle right now. Who watches Card Player Lifestyle? What's the main audience on there?
The main audience is people who love poker, just poker fans, man.
That's a PC answer right there. So
no, it's the main audience is people who I'm very, very grateful every time you click on my links and just come and visit my site because it makes me feel good every time you read my stuff.
I feel like people that say that though, like thank you so much for tuning in. Like I really appreciate it. Like that's not. I feel like most people say that they're not sincere.
Oh, I'm sincere.
But I feel your sincerity though. I know I feel your sincerity, but.
Look, when you work really hard on something and no one watches it, it doesn't feel as good as when even a single person watches it.
I disagree.
Really?
For sure. I don't think it should matter. Honestly, I feel like if you put all you can put into something and you feel like you created the best type of content and people don't necessarily view it, then I honestly feel like that's their loss. And provided the content is as good as you think it is and it's interesting, it's sort of like subjective because. The content could be really good depending on the type of audience you're trying to make it for. If you're trying to make it to get a lot of views, well, you might gear your content one type of way that's going to pander to that type of broader audience.
Right.
Whereas, and then you want to have, it depends if you have this visible name, if you're someone that they recognize. Right. And, for someone like you, let's say you put a lot of hard work into some content and you might not get the amount of, engagement or viewers or response that you hope to get. Well, that's just a function of that people just might not know who you are in general. It's not like they didn't like the content, it's just they're not finding the content. So your mission as the creator is to get them to find you, and obviously that's the challenge. That's the challenge people that create things face is how can people see this stuff that I think is fucking awesome, and once more people maybe start to see it, well then you might realize, well maybe it's not as awesome as it was. And that might not even matter. It's just a moment of you creating the content. Like even if 20 people watching, like I hated that, but you enjoy doing it, and you feel like if you're with another person, you feel like you're growing a relationship with them, or you enjoy it, and you feel like it's really benefiting you overall as a person. Well, then, sort of fuck what the other people are saying in that spot. And then obviously that's just one way to look at it when you factor in you might want to make a living, or you might want to build yourself up as a name, and you want the content to be good. Obviously, that's going to change your approach to creating things or writing things or. I feel like I gave away way too much strategy for anyone that's creating things out there in this part. I did. But I talk too much, man. Oh my god.
But you know what though?
Anyone that creates things should watch this.
I just sort of feel like a light bulb went off there because it's true. The fact is, whether anyone watches this or not, I'm gonna have this amazing memory of sitting here with Joey and learning from you, man, and learning life lessons. That was really awesome.
And all the other people you've been here with, if no one watches, I saw you do something with my boy Daniel Negron. You shot the Kid Poker, and if no one watches it or they think it sucks, like who cares, man? That's like an
experience,
right? Like you're a huge poker fan, you love poker, you love following poker, you love writing about poker, talking about poker. So for you to meet someone like Daniel, who's the biggest person in poker right now, and to have this type of platform to have a 10 to 15 minute conversation with them, who cares what anyone else thinks about that? As long as you did well and you enjoyed it, and you have a memory that you can think about when you're sitting at home talking with your kids, shout out to your kids, and feel special and feel like, man, this is, it's fucking great. Like, man, it's such a, can you believe I was sitting there with all these poker players that I look up to, I respect, admire.
He's listening to the conversations I have with my wife every night. That's exactly
what
what I'm like. Can you believe that I'm having these experiences?
I know. Well, to be fair, I do know Robbie better than most of the people he might have had these type of talks with this week. So I do know he's a very passionate guy. He's very hard working, very very respectful, honest guy. That's one thing I would love about him. And that's I don't want to blow smoke up you too much, kid.
That's all good.
I don't want to leave you on too much of a high note here, Papi. So
Joey,
go ahead, Wilson. That's what you got. Can we get a question for? You want to get a question for Amanda? Amanda, where are you going to be coming up here in the future? Tournament stops. Where can people find you next if they want to get a massage?
I'm going to go to the Hard Rock in South Florida.
Okay.
Seminole Hard Rock. I'm going to go work that next in April, and then it's the World Series of Poker for me.
So if anyone's interested in following you on some type of social media, maybe they wanted to get a massage, they thought you were cute, they just wanted to learn more about your life, is there a place to find you on the Twitter sphere or anything like that?
Not Twitter, but I have an Instagram. It's Amanda Michelle 2.0 and Amanda Michelle on Facebook.
Amanda Michelle 2.0, Amanda Michelle on Facebook. And they're like the guys out there, they watch this, they're like, this girl is she's in her hands. They just
doing a good job.
Well. She's focused. She's responsive. She speaks well. Talks some questions. Like they're gonna be fired up.
I have been trying to get Joey to do something like this for months, and it took Amanda to get these answers out of him. So
is that true?
Maybe.
I don't know. It could be.
Thanks, everybody.
That's it. Peace. Adios.